Minecraft Legends was an absolute blast my first time through. It took roughly 10 hours from start to finish on my first playthrough, or about 600 minutes, so I figured I'd summarize the entire experience in about 16 minutes starting now. After being whisked away from our clearly Java world, I mean look at that functioning offhand slot, and completing a tutorial that seems to be set inside of the Matrix, you spawn into a world where a village is immediately under attack. After killing the piglins and freeing the villagers from their cages, I repaired the fountain that fuels the village and brought the place back to life. Unfortunately, there's another village in strife. I build some friends and have them follow me through the twists and bends of the jungle to the second one with the same deal, because after all, the whole reason I was brought here is to kill, and so after a successful defense, it's time to go on the offense, and let's take down the outpost the piglins are coming from. However, they've built some structures to protect, including this gate that seems to have just confused me. So they just taught me about these ramps that could climb over anything, but they can't go over these gates, and so I've later learned you just destroy these gates of your characters, but what I did instead was I did some parkour, hopped over the gate, all my minions came with me, and so problem solved. This wasn't their only outpost though, and I found their second one much easier to clear, and then I completed a third, which caused my minions to cheer. Okay, this is seriously adorable, and it's also seriously the only way that you can get Prismarine, which I used to make my first upgrade. I realized far too late that Prismarine is the most valuable resource by far, because it's the only one that can't easily be farmed. You have to take down these piglin structures, and also these upgrades you get with it are the source of your power. When you improve in this game, it is solely down to these upgrades, and so keep that in mind as I take down another outpost, getting some more Prismarine, and use that to build a well house. This well house is going to allow me to respawn near it, which is going to be useful because wow, there's a night beacon coming with this fun cutscene. This is your first taste of a big spawning base, something that is centered around a portal, and on this first try, they give you a bunch of mobs for free, so I just use them continuously to attack the portal. I mean, if they're going to keep respawning, I'm going to keep using them, and then I stood on top of the portal so all the minions would know exactly where to go. This strategy was fairly effective because just a few minutes of rushing out, gathering support, and then rushing back in got me this victory cutscene and achievement. Now the world has very clearly laid out targets with 9 outposts to be taken down in these 3 separate groups. This is my win condition, this is how I'll beat Minecraft Legends. To keep me on my toes though, the game keeps reminding me of the piglins' plans as well as what I should do about it.
The piglins will attack this village tonight, and they are not prepared.
It's best to fortify villages during the day, so they're protected in case you can't be there at night.
So I built a nice wall and a couple of towers before heading out and discovering my first power tower. As the name suggests, these are incredibly powerful towers, but they have non-lethal effects, and I'm playing this game because I like murder, so I ignored it for the entire run. Then I go to visit the creepers in what they call the Badlands biome, but we all definitely still know is the Mesa, and I build myself a well house here so I can revisit any time. This takes Prismarine, which I didn't realize at the time, and so again, very bad decision, but now I can check out the creepers whenever I want. But I do have to head to the village for now because I'm going to defend this in person. Like with the tower, this has a cutscene of its own for some reason, and like with the tower, you're better off defending the villages so well with structures that you don't need to be here in person. Either way though, my successful victory grants me some Prismarine, which I spend on the Gather Coal upgrade. Heck yeah. Now I'm brave enough to take on my first Horde outpost. There are 9 of these around the world, and I assume this is going to be a big thing, but it's over in a few minutes, so I decide to take on the bigger one next door. The game specifically warns me that I probably shouldn't do this, but they should know better than telling someone named Toycat what to do, because as we all know, there's Minecraft in the title, and that's the game where
no one can tell you what you can or cannot do.
This base is more than just a nether portal because it has these lava coils that protect the portal from damage, a huge step up in difficulty. After having my forces crushed while taking down these coils, I decided to go for a bit of a rush strategy where I summon cobble golems en masse, charge through the base and attack the portal before having them die and me do it again. This takes a full day in Legends time, which I think is about half an hour real time, but eventually I'm victorious. I head back to defend a village and then build myself the Cure Netherrack upgrade at a hub. All all of this netherrack that is otherwise impossible to claim is now something I can totally do, and so at this point I invite my friend Silent Whisperer over to the world.
Hey,
Hello. And through the magic that is teamwork, we take down the third base together in no time whatsoever. Teamwork is great. However, while doing this, we maybe have a lot of mobs on screen at the same time, and so this happens. Like, the frame rate's staying the same, it's just everything is slowed down. It's like it's Bedrock lag, not Java lag, I guess.
That's a great way of putting it.
Actually, I've decided I hate being around other human beings, and so continue on alone after this one. It is entirely possible to play the campaign with friends if you're the sort of weirdo who prefers playing video games with other people than by yourself, but I'm going to be playing the rest of this alone, and the piglins decide to help me out because they want to keep things fresh but still distract me, so they attack the skeleton base now too. While this is happening, you can't summon skeletons, so you can't really ignore it. I mean, I would, but you know how I feel about skeletons. I think that's the win.
You're just spamming skeletons over there. That's it. That's not fair at all. There's no defense against that.
There is. You should have built better walls, man. Hey!
Shoot over the walls.
Apparently, skeletons don't share my feelings because even as I free this one, he still looks so depressed. Anyway, freeing the skeletons isn't enough. I also have to destroy the portal that the piglins are attacking it from, which thanks to the skeletons I've just freed, takes no time whatsoever. The prismarine I get for doing this goes straight into the power tower upgrade, which again, to reiterate, I used precisely 0 times across the entire playthrough. My second playthrough is going to be on the hardest difficulty, so maybe for that I'll need them. Anyway, for now, let's get back to the game. And despite being power towerless, I still take down this extra portal with ease, and it takes just a few minutes. I immediately head to another piglin base, taking a tower along the way. This one takes just 140 seconds from start to finish, but doing so apparently activates the beast. On my list of concerns though, he's pretty close to my least, as I now head to the final base in the Horde of the Hunt, more like Horde of the For real though, this fight was chaotic, and I even had to leave midway through to get some extra supplies so I could make a forward base closer to the portal and simply spam my golems at it. As this was the final spawn portal for the Horde of the Hunt, this guy gets real mad about it. Oh, and this also leads to some very interesting foreshadowing for the end of the game, as the villagers decide to explore the ruins.
Their world is changing, and they are curious to learn how.
We saw where that led the creepers.
After buying more upgrades, I'm ready to get playing and slaying again, so I free the creepers and get to work on my warp forest piglins. Getting around their base is an absolute nightmare. The game has a ramp, but then deliberately makes these bases tall enough that your ramps don't work. Why did they decide you need a ramp and then deliberately design all of their bases so that your ramps don't work? You could have just not given me one and... Well, anyway, so the bases are so tall that your ramps won't work, but you do have to ramp from island to island, slowly going up in height to get to their portal, which is atop the hill. This effectively makes the rushing their portal strategy not work because you have to walk directly through many of their structures. This does make it pretty satisfying when I finish the portal and I get this great shot of a piglin being destroyed though. I've been constantly maxed out on resources, and villagers provide even more every time I visit them, so I figure it's a good time to invest in my villager defenses, and after doing precisely that, I go to take down a second Horde of the Spore base. Although I accidentally get an outpost instead, oops. I wonder if this happens to real militaries. You're aiming for Germany, but you accidentally hit Austria. Anyway, the point is, you need to keep in mind that there are these mini outposts around the world, which you can take down, but they won't help your progression. They're only really good for farming prismarine, so if you ever feel that you're underleveled, take down these tiny things. You'll notice they're not the main ones because the true base requires 4 separate ramps to climb. This is the first time I decided to just blitzkrieg my way through, and even though that seemed like it wouldn't work here, the truth is my creepers getting to the portal does absolutely huge damage, and the rest of my forces finish up just 45 seconds later. I get so much prismarine from all these destroyed structures that I actually end up leaving most of it on the ground. This is such a waste, but not as much of a waste as my next village defense, which has the boss from the earlier ruins involved in it. Even with my crazy defenses from earlier, I was not prepared for the sheer power and destructive force. It was very obvious to me I was not going to be able to defend, let alone actually repel these forces. However, by sheer luck, as daytime came and the forces stopped, I happened to have precisely 1% remaining, and a win is technically a win, and that is something I am excited by. This encourages me to strengthen my defenses on my other villages, which I do, before riding my horse across a mountain and realizing this isn't Minecraft Bedrock because you do take full damage from horses. I guess if this game is using Java logic, then skeletons must be OP though, and I prove this by taking in a challenge that the game says I really shouldn't, and destroying these coils in just a few seconds with my skeletal army. Even when I'm building bridges, they're still being perfect artillery, and it's amazing to watch, so I decided to do so from up close. It's amazing how much detail this game has that you'll never see in third person, but if you get up close to stuff, there's just a lot going on with it. Anyway, skeletons aren't quite able to reach the portal from afar, however, so I set up a redstone cannon and send in my usual mixtures of golems and creepers for the victory before dying unceremoniously right here. Tragic. Anyway, I noticed my prismarine is almost full again though, so I used the death as an opportunity to finally increase my storage. This is such an important purchase. This is one of the ones you have to be making early on. More stuff, more space for all your resources just means that you can do much more in terms of aggressiveness and defense. You're going to want this, especially when it comes to taking down portals. Anyway, once I return back to take it, it's at 7%, so I figure one batch of creepers will do this, and yeah, I was right. I guess that's the second boss piglin I'm gonna have to deal with. Speaking of, the first one is attacking my village, and it is bad. I do manage to just about hold on, and when I'm done, I notice a new base has appeared with the Spore Horde, and so I decide to give it a shot before immediately realizing I could not.
A horrible creature.
So if I ignore this boss, there are still two major outposts of piglin activity left to clear, and it's easy to see which way to steer towards the Horde of the Bastion. As you can see, they take walls very seriously, with a moat of lava and a ton of walls around them here, and so my newfound army of zombies are great at attacking things at the ground level, but they seriously struggle with the walls because they're higher up. So I take a step back and evaluate, and I have to say, the view from here is pretty great, a reminder that I'm a military commander who can break through. I do this by simply walking to the front entrance. The walls might not fall, but the gate certainly isn't great. My victory is cut short by my village being raided, and the defeat apparently happened while I was fast traveling because it looks like this. Seriously, that sound. Anyway, I strengthen my defenses and take another minor outpost down before discovering the big beat bird in the mountains. This is basically a slightly slower horse that can fly, but honestly, that sounds fun to me. Anyway, back to breaking the base. I decide, since it's in a valley that I've reclaimed the sides of the mountain for anyway, why not put a redstone cannon on the top? This allows me to take down the protective coils with just a couple of shots each. Nice. After grinding away, even the redstone cannon has a limited range, something I decide to fix by curing Netherrack all the way into their base, to the point where I'm actually building arrow towers that can attack their portal, and once I place down my spawners next to their key structure, the struggle really starts to pay off and their portal is down after just 5 minutes of reinforced golems. There are still villagers to defend, but with my extra resources, my villages look more like a tower defense game than a village, and so I'm free to focus on the final piglin base, and boy do I know it'll be a struggle. Oh, it happened again where I did the harder challenge first, and now I'm doing the easier one second, which means it's over in 4 minutes. What didn't take 4 minutes though was defending my village against this guy, since I now clearly realize there are meant to be 3 bosses, 1 for each faction, and this guy is going to have to go if I want to complete the game. His ability to destroy my structures in basically one hit was very annoying and incredibly powerful, but his bigger problem was just how much damage he could absorb. He had so much health, but I do eventually defeat him, and after doing so, some villagers decide they're going to take up some weapons to defend themselves. Which means I now have warriors to help me out. These are one of the most elite units in the game, and although I never build a warrior hut, which is something you can do, I do decide every time I come past a village to take full advantage of them. So now we can take down the Spore boss, which is surprisingly easy by comparison. The weird structures of the islands actually work out great for me because I can attack him from a distance, and so I do precisely that. And the same is true for the final Bastion boss. This is definitely the hardest one of the 3, even if only because he has such a strong defense mechanism mechanism in his fortress. Pushing through this means going through a horde of piglins every single step. However, I do precisely that. I push through all of the piglins, I cure the Nevrak to get close enough to him that I do the exact same thing and take him down with the skeletons, which means that victory of the game is mine. Just kidding. My main Well of Fate has been seized by the Great Piglin and his defenses are overwhelming. I have absolutely no way of taking this on. Just kidding. I cure Nevrak, spam my way in, and it works just great. Use my skeletons to destroy the structures along the way, which meant that I could take layers upon layers of structures out and even create my own, which meant I could finally make it across the first river section, which just seemed to make him madder for some reason. However, his madness was no match for my zombies. Wait, yes, it was. So instead, I built stone towers all around him and spawned a new army of zombies to grind away at his health. It took everything I had, but eventually... the game is complete and everything is better, except maybe not, because we see this hint in the ending that shows maybe the warrior villagers aren't happy with the regular villagers and their way of life anymore. So fun lore, a fun campaign that didn't overstay its welcome, and honestly a pretty fun game. If you want a great 10-hour experience, this is the one for you, and honestly I'm going to be back to try it a second time on Legendary difficulty. That last fight is so challenging, and doing it on the hardest difficulty is going to be a huge challenge, something I'm going to be streaming the full playthrough of this month. Anyway, I'll also be back to take on DLCs or monthly challenges, so make sure to subscribe if you want to see more Minecraft Legends content, or indeed any Minecraft Bedrock stuff. I make videos for the version of the game that few do, and I'm really excited for 1.20. There's a lot of great stuff related to that you won't want to miss, and so thank you if you even considered subscribing. I appreciate it a lot because it's one of the things that makes the really big videos like this one possible, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Goodbye.